Yo, people, what's going on? Back again. I ran some Redmond in the house. What are you telling me, bro?
I'm a winner, blood. That's what I'm telling you. I'm a winner, bro. I'm a winner. Do you
What
want to know
what have
why I'm
you
a
won?
winner?
Yeah,
What
tell
have I
me.
won?
Tell me.
It's
Yeah,
not
tell
about
me
what
what
I
did you win?
about that we're adding winners to the team, broski.
Okay, explain. Explain.
So, are you on to our latest? I'm sure you've heard it because it's been the breaking news over the past couple of days. Probably the biggest piece of news that's not only hit Japan but the entire globe. We've just signed a Champions League winner.
Who did he win the Champions League with?
Oh, you look like a man who doesn't believe me, and I think the
No,
chat.
but I'm
I'm
saying who
getting
did
this.
he win it with though? No.
Oh
I'm
no,
asking
I'm
you.
just
I'm not
saying you
saying
look
you're
like a man who
lying.
doesn't believe me. Rance, you're a man of evidence, no?
Of course.
Can I share my screen?
Yeah, absolutely.
My guy. Give me 1 second. Oh, big up the chat, by the way. Pay your rent. Don't be
That's
scumbags.
it. That's
Share
it.
that. Share that screen. Ranceroni. Wait. What does that say?
Yeah, it does. It does. What's that? Asian Champions League. Yeah, you're right. He has. Who did
Rance,
he
has
win
he
that
not
for?
got more Champions Leagues than Arsenal?
Oh, absolutely. So he absolutely does.
And Everton? And
That's
Tottenham?
crazy.
And by the way, the same as City.
Fairs.
So
What
we've just
team is
signed the
that? What
Champions League
team is
winner.
that for? Is the team in Japan? I'm guessing.
That is for Urara Red Diamonds.
Iwara Reds, yeah. Iwara Red Diamonds, yeah. Man United played them in pre-season before. I know who they are. I've heard of them.
You're lucky that he weren't on the team. I don't know when you played them, but you're lucky that
Nah,
Enzo
it
never
would have been
played.
a while ago. It would have been when I was still watching MUTV and stuff like that in pre-season. So this would have been a good 10 years ago, I reckon.
Oh,
But
you're lucky then. You're lucky. Did you win that game?
yeah,
It's because
yeah.
Enzo didn't play. That's all it is, lad. No, nah, but yeah, happy days, bro. Happy days. How are you?
I'm all right, bruv. I'm all right.
Jeez.
You know what I'm saying? Not
Nice
too
to know
bad.
you're doing well, lad. Pick up the
Not
chat
too
as
bad.
well.
What's the general mood in the Liverpool camp though after this signing? Are they
Everyone's
mad?
heavily depressed.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. Are they underwhelmed? Because you lot got linked with some heavy hitters, and then this geezer I've never heard of. I'll be completely honest. Out of nowhere, and because you got the deal done so quickly, that means that he was on the list. Obviously, he wasn't at the top, but he was on the list. Do you know what I mean?
That's
Because
right.
you don't scout a player and sell it and sign a player in the same day. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
So obviously they were aware of him. They were looking at him. He wasn't obviously your first choice, or maybe even your second choice, but he was on the list, innit? So, like, what do we know about this guy?
I think this was a conclusion from Shkamadka, who's our sporting director. I think he was on his couch having German ciggies, lunging them down, and then at one point he had that ultimate high off one of the ciggies, which he thought, okay, then now we're in a bit of a predicament. We missed out on Caicedo, we missed out on Lavia. What's the solution? Okay, let me go and get with what are you, Enzo? What are you? When I don't know how to say his first name yet, so we'll learn over time. But it just seemed like that was the conclusion and that was the solution. So for me, I don't know what he's coming in to do. So if he's coming in to be a utility man, he looks fine as a utility man. Do you know who he
Is he a
reminds me of?
six? Who's that?
Lissandro.
Really?
Honestly, hear me out. Do you want to hear me logic first before you call me shameless?
No, fair enough. Go for it, mate.
5'7". Great aerial duels won in the Bundesliga. Key part of keeping Augsburg up in the Bundesliga. Apparently, he was their best player in the relegation scraps. And also, he's versatile, so he can play across the back four and he can play at CDM. And he's a good passer. So he's a good passer and he's good at headers and he's a midget. So that means, based on style, we've actually got a sound Lissandro like for like. But this one's 30 though.
Yeah. All right, cool. So everything you've described is Lissandro. I hear you.
Exactly.
However, are you buying him to play centre back or play in midfield? This is the problem.
All of the above. Why limit him to one option, Ranceroni? You know what I mean? Why not have multiple? You get what I'm saying? You've got some people who want one wife, and you've got some people who want five. You know what I'm saying?
I completely hear that, but the thing is, don't you need a midfield? Don't you need a midfielder or two even?
Have you not just heard what I've just said? He's a CDM.
Yeah.
As well as a centre back.
Okay, so he's a CDM that can play centre back.
That's
and
right.
Not a centre back that can play CDM.
Why not be both?
I know what you're saying, man, but I don't know. I'm just so confused.
I understand. And that's what I mean. That's why I'm here. You need to ask me any questions. You need to clarify anything. You ask me,
I'm
brother.
so confused, bro. Like,
That's fine.
it's just you got it so done. Like, he's in England already. Like,
Yes. Yeah, literally, he left 15 minutes after the news broke. He was already on the plane to John Lennon.
But this is what I don't understand, because it's like you had Lavia here waiting for so long, and then you overbid here for Caicedo, didn't get him. So that means you had the money to get Lavia and you were just fannying around. And then you ended up with neither of the two. And then you've pulled the trigger on this guy.
Yes.
And he's on the plane before the news is broken on Twitter. So that means all this time you could have just signed Lavia.
No one wanted 19-year-old Lavia. No one wanted 19-year-old Lavia. Too young, too inexperienced. So what did we do? We said the solution was, okay, let's get some proper experience. This is a guy who's played in the World Cup. Come on, World Cup experience can't be overlooked in the modern day, can it, Ranceroni? We've all got to agree that World Cup experience is massive. Chat, did Japan not have a belt of World Cup? I swear they beat like Spain and...
They beat Germany and Spain.
Come on, Boski. Guess who was the captain for those games?
I didn't even know that. I watched both those games.
My
and I
guy,
didn't even know that.
Rants, he's not a joke, you know.
Actually, hold on a second. Let me Google this guy, because you know what? I watched both of those games, yeah? And that means I think I know who he is.
You go and research that dude and you see his greatness, right? So we've established two things. He's a World Cup legend, right? Because, come on, to win for Japan in those two games. And
I watched both of those games. I don't watch alongs for them. So that means I watched him play. But
that's legends, Eddie. And he's a Champions League winner. So these two things for me, like, yeah, look at this, man. So, yeah, I've got an old photo here of our 2019 Champions League winners, right?
Yeah.
So the majority of this is grey now. You get what I'm saying? The majority of these players have now fucked off. So what's the solution when you lose winners?
Hey, bro, you know what? You are coping with this extremely well, mate.
Okay, Rants, I'm asking you a question. Rants, I'm asking you a sincere question.
You replace them with more winners, mate.
You bring in winners, my G. Exactly. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be stood there. I did this last night. I was stood there at the airport like this, waiting for friggin' Enzo, right? I was like, Enzo, can you please sign here? And then label it as Champions League winners at the bottom, right? Because you're going to walk into our team. You're going to be playing against Bournemouth, bro. Did you not know that? No, Rants, I'm telling you facts, bro. Like, if you need to predict our starting 11 at any point this week, that's not a prediction. It's a spoiler, in the words of Paul Heyman. He's going to be playing CDM against Bournemouth. That was the purpose. Short-term solution, and then 3 years of a workhorse.
So, is there a plan to get another midfielder, or is he your solution short term, and then next season you go and buy one?
But we'll see. We'll see.
Nobody knows what's going on, because, bro, I thought I was confused, yeah. But then when I saw yesterday in my show that the majority of Liverpool fans were absolutely confused as well, it made me feel a little bit better, innit? Because I thought maybe because I'm not on Twitter like that, maybe I missed out on something. But it seems like nobody knew what was going on.
Possibly.
Were you even linked with this guy before you signed him?
No.
That's what I mean. Like, what's going on?
As far as I was concerned, this dude never existed. But now that I've researched it, it's actually a bit of a shame that I didn't know he existed. He's actually boss. No, here's the score, bro. A lot of us are upset about this, but we're upset about this because of the order it's gone in, right? But we've already established that ownership is shit, okay? And I've been saying this for years, so there's no point in talking about it now because it's got a worst possible case scenario. So stop moaning. Let's analyse it for what it is, right? So Jurgen Klopp said, I want to keep James Milner. Now, we all thought, Jurgen, you're a bit high on crack cocaine for wanting to keep James Milner. But maybe Jurgen Klopp knew something that I did deep down, but he knew it more, and fans didn't know it because they thought, okay, then, well, we've got to get rid of James Milner because in turn, that obviously means we're going to bring in a replacement, right? Now, Jurgen Klopp probably thought, well, actually, we might not get a replacement based on track records of not getting replacements at the right time. Therefore, we're going to keep James Milner because he's at least a reliable option for a right back and for a centre mid, right? So now, what was crackhead Jurgen Klopp has now become genius Jurgen Klopp because James Milner's better than nothing, and that's what the Chelsea game's shown us. That pressing in the midfield actually could have been done with James Milner. Did you see his Brighton debut? He was class. Like, that guy can still offer something, you know what I mean? I didn't think we should have kept him. Like, I didn't think we should have kept Hendo, and I don't think we should have kept Fabinho. Reason being, even owners as dumb as these, I thought, Surely we're going to replace them. Even the narrative that FSG in say about sell to buy, well, now we've got 50 million of funds plus millions of weekly wages that are freed up because these players have now fucked off. So what's the solution? Okay, then I want to keep James Milner. James Milner also wants to stay. And the club saying, no, fuck that. We're getting rid of James Milner because now we're going to have a big overhaul in the summer, right? And we don't want to keep a 37-year-old. So that's great. And now we've just went and spent 16 million British pounds on a dude whose highest level was Augsburg. And I'm not even shitting on him. I think he'll be sound. I actually think he'll be an all right little 6, 7 out of 10 little machine in the midfield. Otherwise, if he's the starter, we don't know. As a utility man, I think so. You know? But that's the furthest I can get on that matter. So I think this was poor planning on the front that we needed a versatile player. We rushed and got this one because we know we're going to need a backup if we do get a main CDM. Slightly reliable or more reliable journalists have been linking us to Cheek to Corey. So no. Eh?
The Corey, but mate, I just don't know what to say, mate. Because even like Anana, for instance, yeah, we've been linked to him a little bit. It's like that's another player potentially. Even though it's Everton, you lot can go and take Everton's players if you really want. It's Everton, innit? Do you know what I mean? Like, there's loads of different things that you could have done, but I'm just not getting it, bruv. Like, I'm not getting it. And the ease at which you got the deal done, it shows me that, like, I understand why you would be frustrated simply, like you said, because of the order it got done. But these guys are... I just can't. I can't, bro. It's not even my club and I'm lost, bro. Do you know what I mean? But I can't even imagine how you lot feel.
Rants, you rate my football.
Why not just go and get... Why not just go and get Endo from the very beginning? Why not
that's in the past? That's in the past. That's in the past. Yeah, let's focus on the present. So we've just bought in Endo WATARU, right? Okay, or WATARU. So get on this. I think he's better than Mason Mount. Do you want to talk about that?
He is. I don't remember seeing him play, but he is 100%.
So we've technically just got an upgrade from what was an original target. So we can now look at some positives at least. You know what I'm saying?
Wasn't Soboslai the replacement for Mason?
It might have even been McAllister, but that's not even the point. The point is that now we've got someone, whether it's Milner or it's Fabinho, we're still unsure because he might end up having to replace both. So again, like, I thought I was doing well speaking 20 minutes of this dude, and now we're still on the topic. So I'm now running out of things to say to defend him. I'm happier than other fans because I understand. Like, listen, okay, maybe he's not upper echelon, he's not the big name or anything, but if he's coming in as a utility man, and then we get to Corey, and then somehow we get a centre back, I suppose that's salvageable in some sense. You have a right to be upset about the window to this point, but let's just be honest, it's just one of those things. Like, okay, we've established we've got shit owners. I've already started lowering the expectations from last year. So, okay, and I've also listed all the problems at the club in order. Okay, so Jurgen Klopp's around here. You've got FSG here. You've got the board of directors here. And then the players are also just underneath them because I think they've been diabolically shit as well. And then, of course, you know, some of them are highly favoured, so then you've got to blame Klopp. Everything's just a little bit wrong at the moment. I think we just need to just kind of hope that we find some sort of stride throughout the season. And if we can walk out of it with a top 4 finish, boss, you know what I mean?
Yeah, this is mad. And I know people are saying, it wasn't Klopp signing, but most of them aren't. Like, we know how Liverpool do their business now.
That's right.
You know what I mean? We know how they do their business now. He didn't want Salah originally. Do you know what I mean? But he got him and it worked out. So it's not a case of it not being Klopp signing, which is the issue. The issue is, why are you fannying around over 5 million valuation of a Premier League proven player and then go and bid double that amount for someone that you know doesn't want to come to you? Then you've played your hand and shown all of the Liverpool fan base that you have 110 million to spend. You're just not spending it. And then you go and spend how much on this guy? How much is he going to cost you?
16 million British pounds.
Exactly. So where's the other 90 million? Like, what are we going to go spend that on now? Because you were going to spend 110 million. So why don't you go out and spend 90 million and sign 2 more players? But they won't.
You asked me a question at the start of that. You said, why is fannying about?
Yeah.
Why do Yeah, why do white people jump out of airplanes?
I have no idea, bro.
Because they're a bit dumb, right?
Hey.
They wake up and they say, today I am going to test Jesus, okay? So now what happened? They jump out the plane. Now, we still haven't... Now, they're mid-air with some dude who literally is in control of their life, controlling where they're going, right?
Yeah.
And we still have not established why they did that in the first fucking place, okay?
Yeah, it makes no sense.
So this is where I am at with FSG. And by the way, I've been there. Welcome to the bus stop. We've been waiting for you. By the way, the bus is delayed for 5 more minutes. Know what I'm saying? Yeah, man, it's a tough situation right now at the club. I mean, it's
what are they going to do with the rest of the 110 million then? Are Liverpool fans onto them to spend more money, or are they just going to be happy with Endo? Because surely there's money to spend. If there's money to spend, and there's always been money to spend, then why is the money not being spent?
It's a great question. It's a great question.
This is it, because they've showed their hand now. Surely you got to punish them now.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. Yeah, we definitely have shown our hands. I'm just waiting for the window to be done, and then I can make a full conclusion there. I think it's just massive. It seems like everything's all over the place, and it also seems people don't know what the order of the club is right now, because people will sit there and say, well, Jurgen Klopp now gets the final say on things, but then he didn't have a fucking clue about this dude called WATARU Endo. You know what I'm saying? So I still find it very hard to believe that Jurgen Klopp is the man controlling the ins and outs of the football club. And I think that some people sit there and they say, well, oh, no, look at this news report. And Jamie Carragher came out and said, well, how does Carragher know? You know, I'm very familiar with the fact we've always had a sporting director, and it's FSG who employ these people. I think it's interesting when people say you can't blame FSG for this. I'm like, no, the FSG isn't just John W. Henry. It's the entire board and who they employ. It's from the board of directors to the CEO, who were all involved in these negotiations, the same negotiations which failed. So that's important. So we've established the people who they employed is now running a business into the fucking mud, right? So that means they've made some bad decisions, which is it's like, you know, okay, then I go to a five-a-side tournament and anyone can play. Everyone else gets some really, really good players, but then I choose to go and get a basketball team to play my football matches. That's poor decision making from me. That's very, very poor, because I just thought, okay, these guys have got muscles and they can jump high so they can head it away from corners. That was my assessment. But then you realize, okay, now we need to do something on the ball. So I've miscalculated something there. So FSG have done multiple miscalculations, not just this window, but over previous windows, which has now led to a big, humongous clusterfuck of massive mistakes all over the football club, scattered around, which now leaves people like me and you talking about it. And then it leaves more Liverpool fans sceptical, because there's always the carrot dangle. It's like, okay, then don't worry, because now we're linked with Cheek to Core. It started from Bellingham, so it goes from Tuchemani. So it goes from Tuchemani to Jude Bellingham, and then now we fast forward to a little bit of Barella, and then we go on and we move on to who else was it? Chat. There was two: Lavia, Caicedo. We've hinted at Amrabat. Yeah, I will even throw in Mason Mount if we really want him.
Yeah.
So now we've got to option 10 and 11, and now we've signed a fella from Japan. You know what I'm saying?
And you did it so efficiently as well. To the point where by the time you lot were linked with him, he was already on the plane. So it shows that deals can be done when they want to do deals.
Don't forget Kefram Turam and Manu Kone as well.
And now we've both been linked with Gravenberch as well. So
that was another dude, actually. So don't worry, we've already got an 0-1 to that dude right there. So yeah, man, I don't know what we're trying to do. I'm just kind of like, I'm on vibes this season, Rants. I'm not expecting nothing. I've not been expecting nothing. So
it's not looking good. So that sounds great, brother. I'll be honest.
One more fourth place spot for the boys. You know what I mean? But I do actually. Do you know what though? I do think that this Endo dude's actually going to be a bit more of a overachiever. I think on paper it's easy to hate the dude. You know what I mean? Like, he's 30 and the best team he's ever played for is Stuttgart. So I understand from that standpoint. Okay, then fair enough. He might not be the upper echelon player, but I think he's going to exceed people's expectations, and at least.
But I think it'd be difficult for him not to exceed expectation, because I don't think anyone's expecting much from him.
That's exactly why I said it in those exact words.
Mm.
Words are
Yeah.
important.
Yeah, he won't be as bad as people expect him to be.
That's it. I think he'll. I think because everyone's expecting him to be so diabolically shit. I think he's actually going to end up being thought as a good player.
A
To
good
be honest.
signing, yeah.
Yeah, I just think he's one of those. That's kind of like one of those unfound gems. Not a gem in a sense like, a young prospect, but I just mean someone who can do a job. You know what I mean? Like the way some fans thought Weghorst was doing a job last season in certain roles and whatever. It's like just one of those random signings, but they can adhere to the system at least. And okay, now we know it's bad. Okay, so now with this physical fucking evidence that it's bad, we've just had to sign some random dude who's 30 for 4 times the price of his market value, which is also important to throw in there.
Sure.
So at least now we know it's bad at the football club. So now we can work on our expectations all in due course with that.
Fairs. The one thing I say about Wout Weghorst though is like when we signed him, we knew that this guy was second choice. Like we knew it, innit? Like if
But he ended
Liverpool,
up playing like a lot of games, no?
yeah, he did, but he didn't end up. Yeah, actually, you're right. He did. He ended up playing a lot of games. He played some in midfield. He played some up front.
Yeah.
But that was mostly because
He was a system player.
It was mostly because of Martial's injuries, though. If Martial was fit, Weghorst would not have played in it. So it was circumstantial.
And we wouldn't have had to sign Endo if we were more competent on a transfer front. You get what I'm saying?
Sure.
So it's one of those last minute solutions when something go wrong is essentially what we've got into. Now, we haven't had to buy Endo because of injuries like your circumstance. Your circumstance can't be helped, I suppose. Ours could have. We could have negotiated better. We could have acted on Lavia before trying to test our waters with another bird in Caicedo. So then now we fucked off that situation. We went to Caicedo. We've got back to this bird. And now she's speaking to the fella that Caicedo was. So now we're fucked. Get what I'm saying? So we missed out on all priority targets. And it's just fell into a position where we have to get this dude. So I just think, those who are moaning, it's fine to moan. Like, it's fine to be upset about the window and whatnot. But just, in terms of a difference that it makes zero. In fact, we are now technically in a better position than what we was yesterday morning. At least we've got someone who can play that role to a level. And when I watch him, his attributes isn't even that bad. Chat, have you actually seen like clips of him and whatnot? He looks sound as a footballer, you know what I mean? He's just like some small, stocky dude, reads the game fine. I think he can do sound. But we just need to go and see what the rest of the window's like, and then we can readjust our expectations from there. If we go and get on top of Endo, say if we get to Corey and Inacio just for a random combination of players, if we go and get those two, we can now sit there and go, okay, we got 4 midfielders in total, and we got 1 centre back. Now with this, we'll say maybe 4th place, 3rd place could be the ambition, and hopefully we can try and compete on a Europa League front as well. If we don't get those players, then we can sit there and go, okay, then well, Chelsea, Newcastle, Aston Villa, Man United, all these have strengthened beyond what we have, and they haven't had to let go as many players as what we have, besides Chelsea, but they've replaced all their players, so that's a bit different. Now we're not really looking at the top 4 the same. Do you get what I'm saying? Because the preparation, we've let go of more players and we've brought in not enough. So we have to just wait and see.
That's fair, man. You know what I'm saying? Hey, big up everyone inside. Smash up that like. You know what I'm saying? Over 1,000 in here. Right, man said he got cooked by Ukraine Bowl. And he said, if Ten Hag goes with the same midfield, what are your thoughts? Bruv, if Ten Hag goes with the same midfield 3 in the next game that he did with the first game, my head is going to be extremely hot.
Now I need to raise a question. How does he change it?
He drops Mason Mount.
No, that's not going to. Can we both agree that's not going to happen?
I can't necessarily agree it's not going to happen because I believe it could. However, based on how the manager defended him after the game and said he played well, I think there's a certain part of me that thinks the manager is going to be stubborn, and even though it didn't work, he's going to persevere with it for a little while before he actually flogs Mason Mount. I don't think he will immediately, but I think for sure Sancho starts. Garnacho doesn't start again, but I think he might go for Mount again because he spent a lot of money on him, and also it's a confidence thing as well. The manager knows he's played shit, regardless of what the manager says in the game. And if he drops him the following game, then even though he said he played all right, he admits that he played shit if he drops him. Do you know what I mean? So I don't believe that the manager is going to drop him right now, but I believe he should.
And if he doesn't drop him, and the combination remains to be Mount and Bruno, what does that mean?
That means that we're probably going to lose the game. No, that's what it means. That's
So
what
if
it
he
means.
consists with that for 10 games, so
Yeah.
you can get 30 points out of 10 games, how many
If
points do
he
you think you're
consists,
getting with
if
that?
he consists with that midfield, yeah, against bro, like Wolves on paper, a team that we're supposed to beat comfortably, we didn't.
Yes.
If we're struggling against Wolves and he continues to play that midfield free against other teams, he's gonna find himself in a position that he doesn't want to be fairly quickly, because there are very few easy games in the Premier League now. Everyone knows that. Everyone
Yes.
knows that. Like everyone's talking about Aston Villa dark horses. Newcastle put them guys in a fucking burrito, bruv. Like they absolutely dispatched of them. Like there's
True.
no easy games. There's no easy games in the league. Wolves are 20th in the league for goals scored, chances created, all of those things. They opened us up at will at times. So there is absolutely no way we can go into any game and think it's a foregone conclusion we're coming out with the victory unless we set up properly. And that midfield of Bruno and Mount, bro, I feel sorry for Casemiro. Like, honestly, the guy spent most of his career playing with Toni Kroos and Luka Modric, and he's been put in there with them Muppets, bro. Like, honestly, I can't even imagine, yeah? I can't imagine how he feels, bro. I can't imagine how he feels.
Well, it is kind of like a new midfield in it. So you've got Money Mace, you've got Captain Bruno, and then you've got Burger King Cash, right? So we've got these three individuals in the midfield who. So Casemiro, he didn't look great, did he?
No, see, I disagree. I think, yeah, that
Oh,
if we didn't have him, we would have got
that.
battered. We would have got battered if we didn't have him in there. You know what it is with Casemiro? Them two, yeah, all of his weaknesses get exposed playing with them Cowboys.
Yeah.
But it's not that he didn't look good. They made him look terrible because all the things he's not good at, yeah, he's forced to do because these guys don't help him at all. At Real Madrid, he had two press resistant ball playing midfielders that would take turns at come in and be in the first line of attack. They and come in and receiving the ball. He never received the ball off the centre backs. Even when Modric done an interview with Rio Ferdinand very recently, and he even spoke about Casemiro, and he said, listen, if you look a lot of the time, yeah, like people underestimate how good Cass is going forward. Like Cass is never the first phase player, never. Either Modric comes deep or Kroos comes deep. Casemiro is the guy that breaks up the play, and a lot of the time he's ahead of one of them, sometimes even both of them. So this idea that he's the number 6 that picks up the ball and distribute, he's not. So when he's forced to do the first phase of play, yeah, it exacerbates the qualities that he doesn't have. And then on top of that, when the two midfielders want to take their turn like a dog chasing a ball in the park, running forward, Mason Mount's average position was higher than our centre forward. What's Casemiro supposed to do with that?
I think Cash has been a bit shaky even last season when he was like partnering with Fred and that. Like obviously at the start he was boss, and then I don't know, like I just thought there was points in the second part of the season where some games world class, some games meh. You know what I mean?
I think it's very much to do with what you surround him with. Do you know what I mean?
Possibly. But I also think that last season, he was still surrounded by things that was making him do well at some games, and then there were some games where he didn't do well. And I don't think you can just say if Casemiro plays bad. I know that's not what you're saying, but just because these other players playing bad, it means Cass is playing bad for that reason. Because I remember there was games where Casemiro absolutely carried your terrible midfields last season, you know what
most
I'm saying?
of the time.
So, like, to see him not doing that, not just because it's one game, so I'm not going off that. I'm saying also at the end of last season, I'm just saying it's interesting. You know what I mean? I'm not saying he's finished.
No, but the thing is with Cass, yeah, like Cass is human. Like every player has bad games. Like everyone has it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like as much as Mo Salah, yeah, has been amazing for you guys in terms of numbers, he doesn't play well every match. Do you know what I'm saying? And he's been your talisman for 5 years.
That's right.
Cass has had some games where he can't find a red shirt, and that's got nothing to do with the players he's playing around. So it's just like his radar's off. It has happened. It doesn't happen often, but it happens. But a lot of the times when I'm seeing this guy look like he's chasing shadows because he's got absolutely no help, like that's not on him. Do you know what I'm saying?
Now we've got a problem in it. Now, okay, so now I want to establish. Now we've got a bit of a Ten Hag problem because now he's assembled a team which is very incohesive and one that doesn't seem to have much. If the FIFA nerds want to call it chemistry, sound. But you get what I'm saying. There's
Balance, same thing.
That's it. Balance, exactly. So that's why I think that's what you're missing. So either it's a Casemiro problem. If we've established it's not a Casemiro problem, well, then it's a collective midfield problem because Casemiro isn't complemented by the two guys in front of him. And then if it's not a problem with those guys, well, now it's a Ten Hag problem. Or it could be a little bit of everything. I think United are in for a bit more of a shocking season than what they anticipate, unless there's some maybe drastic change between now and the end of the window. You go and get a very good player. I'm not too sure, but I am questioning at least the majority of the recruitment from Ten Hag at the moment. Because, okay, he did really well in the first summer, and I think Onana's good as well, but it's about what you do to build around these dudes. That, for me, is a little bit of a concern, if I was a United fan, to be honest. And I've been sceptical about it for a while, but people seem to think it's just, you know, obviously an agenda, which is fine.
No, because at the end of the day, yeah, like there's an argument to say that the manager has actually unbalanced the midfield, yeah.
That's what I was leading to.
Mount, and he's killed Casemiro, because if you look here at Christian Eriksen can play first phase, he can receive the ball in the half turn, play the passes and stuff like that. Even though he doesn't have the legs that Mason Mount has, he has the IQ and he picks up the positions, which in turn allows Casemiro to do what he's good at. And that's read the game, break up the play. The problem is when you've got Bruno wants to run away from the ball, Mount wants to run away from the ball, and Casemiro's not amazing at carrying the ball and passing the ball. This is where the problem is, because you got a player on the ball and you got two players running away from him. No one's coming to receive the ball. So what do you get? You get a player holding onto the ball too long because he doesn't have an outlet. And this is where the problems go. But the mad thing about the whole thing is the manager's brought in a ball playing goalkeeper, but then taken away the guy that connects the midfield in Eriksen. He's taking him away. So you're just putting the defense and the midfield under even more pressure, bro. Like when you look at the balance of the team, what the manager's done, like in very, very basic terms, doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I think like Fred brings more balance to the midfield if he takes Mount's place, I think.
He does, because at least he shows for the ball and he will come a bit deeper. Like
I thought he didn't understand games last year, Fred. You know, I thought Fred did. It was the first year where I thought, you know what,
Fred has been Man United's best midfielder, yeah, pound for pound over the last. Before Casemiro came in, the season before he was for 12 months. I'd say the last 18 months, he's probably had more good performances for us than any other midfield player. I didn't understand when the manager suddenly throws him out the team. I didn't understand it, because in the big games, he's usually our best player. So I do not understand. Like, it was only last season he man-marked Kevin De Bruyne out the game, bruv. Like, I do not understand why the manager throws him out. I do not understand. Maybe he's
do we have an identity crisis when it comes to Ten Hag? Sorry, an identity problem when it comes to Ten Hag, or does Ten Hag have an identity problem?
I think he has an identity problem, because I believe he came into Manchester United wanting to play a certain way, and he shit his pants and he's changed. Because we started getting linked with Frankie de Jong. How do you go from Frankie de Jong to Mason Mount?
Yes.
How? They're not the same profile of player. They're not. So he's completely.
It's like if your flight to Spain gets cancelled, it's like, don't worry about it, babe. We're off to Poland. You know what I mean?
That's it, innit? It's a mad thing. It don't make no sense. It's like there's no consistency, with anything he's doing, innit? And it makes me think that even when you look at the goalkeeper, it's like, all right, cool. So you've brought in a goalkeeper that can play out from the back. You would think that possession football is what you're after, because if you don't want to play possession football, why do you need a goalkeeper that can play out from the back? Just tell the hair to kick it long, because we don't want the ball anyway.
Yes.
So what is the point? Like, you've got a goalkeeper that's conducive to keeping the ball, but then you don't want to keep the ball. You have no midfielders that keep the ball. So what are we trying to build here? What are we trying to build? Like, the Manchester United team is a contradiction. Like, when you look at it, it's just a bunch of players that have no common goal, bro. And the whole point of a team is that you have a common goal. That's what makes you a team.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going on.
Well, now that's actually really productive to hear from you, and I think all the United fans who are coming to it as well. So we've established that there's an identity problem, and of course, it seemed. So I think here's the difference. I think at Ajax have a system where they always are bringing in new players. they have got a way of scouting players, right? And if you think about the best players in recent time, you're thinking about Frankie de Jong, you're thinking about De Ligt, you're thinking about Donny van der Beek, even when he was there. And there'll be numerous other players as well. There was also the Tadic's, which was, you know, a different type of player for them. They brought them. He was already more established opposed to all these other dudes. And these were already at Ten Hag's disposal. Ten Hag had not only not the most elite in Netherlands, one of the most elite academies in Europe. And he's in a league which is significantly less competitive than this one, where the resources aren't the same. And, you know, even though Man United have resources, well, but now we've seen Aston Villa and Newcastle also have resources along with the other top six, by the way. So now, is Ten Hag getting too much control at United? Now, because here's where you get a predicament if you say yes. Because if we've identified he's got an identity problem and he's not even setting out the players in which he does have in a way that's cohesive, well, now the solution is, well, he can't no longer keep controlling the team in case he makes us worse. But we have seen that he's a good coach and that he can make good players and the right players work. But we haven't got anybody beyond Ten Hag, so board of directors or CEOs, who can actually identify proper players. So now you're double fucked.
Yeah.
Do you get what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so either way, it's a little bit shaky in terms of the short-term future. And I think, well, what do you think's the solution, I suppose? What happens? If Ten Hag's got control, do you think maybe should be taken away a bit of control? Because then that's just giving the control back in the hands of the club, which I don't know if you want that. So
no, but you know what it is, yeah. The structure's not in place clearly, yeah, for us to take the power away from him. The structure's not in place, and again, that is why we need new owners. Because if we get new owners in, there's no way that they're going to leave the infrastructure the right way, because our current owners don't want to win. It's just like yours. Our owners just want Champions League football. That's all they want. Champions League football, record revenue, make as much money as possible. That's all they want. They don't want to win. If we get new owners,
do it 1 foot out the door as well.
This is it. Like when you get the Qataris in, you get owners that are going to come in and want to win. And when you want to win, you build a winning structure. Right now, we don't have a winning structure. So this structure that we have now will be torn apart the same way when City's owners came in. They got their new chief exec, and then they brought in the scouts from Barcelona. Like that's what they did. Like this is what you have to do, and then they literally just remodeled the whole club all the way down into the academy. Manchester United will do that with new owners. With these owners, these guys are all about bottom line. That's all they're about. So Ten Hag has this authority now because the place is a mess. Because no manager should have that much power. Because, bro, you might not be here in 18 months. Like, why would you rest? Why would you put all of your success or your failures upon one person that may not be here? That makes no sense.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's an interesting time for United. I think it's interesting for both of our clubs, to be honest, because I thought United fans maybe thought they had more of a leg to stand on going into the season, and then now they're thinking, oh yeah, it's actually getting a bit wobbly, this chair, you know what I mean? And I think now it's a case of, can Ten Hag find the setup of a team with the current crop of players that he's got, which is going to play efficiently enough to at least improve? Because you finished third last season, and I'd assume now you want improvement. Now, what's improvement? Second place, at least, you know what I mean? And even though you might not rate Mason Mount or Højlund, maybe some people don't rate Højlund yet, you've still got to make those work because they're still big signings. Mason Mount's still a big signing, whether you like it or you don't.
I think Højlund will be all right. This Mason Mount thing, I don't see it getting better. Do you know
but
what I mean?
In a generalised sense, a lot of people would look at Højlund and go, that's not good enough. He's not quite proven. He got 9 goals in the Serie A in 30 games. That's not what we're looking for as a world-class striker for Man United.
To be fair, he wasn't starting week in, week out, and also his international record actually decent, and he always plays for them. Do you know what I mean?
You know what? Great point. But I still think there's fair criticism from those who might think, 100% certain that he's ready right now. Do you know what I mean? Because he is still young, and you know he's still got spots on his face on that lad. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think you can always doubt players in that phase of their life because you never know what they're going to turn into. That being said, even though you can be skeptical about Højlund and you can be skeptical about Mount, there's still big signings on paper. Like Højlund is still a very expensive number 9, for instance, and then Mason Mount is still a really big asset in terms of you gave him the number 7. He cost £60 million. That's not chump change, and that was for a player who has a year left on his deal, correct? So even a bit more context to it, how much Ten Hag really wanted him. So now he's got to find a way to make that work. And here's where this is my final point, because this is where my biggest problem comes. Okay, so Mason Mount doesn't, because Mason Mount's the big sign and Bruno's the captain, it feels to me they've got to start by default. Okay, let's move Mason to the left. Well, now we've got Rashford at the left, so now that's a bit of a fucked issue as well. So,
you're right.
Okay, let's say if Mount now gets put on the bench, who's the replacement for Mason Mount?
Christian Eriksen. But that's why we need to sign. But that's why we're being linked with Gravenberch and we're being linked with Amrabat. We're going to sign another midfielder. We are.
Now let's analyse that player. Yeah, I'll even give you the hypothetical worlds of Gravenberch or Amrabat. Do they bring you improvement? Now, yes, they're better than Mason Mount. Do they make you better than what you was last year if you were to sign one of those two players?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Significantly, do you think?
Yeah, I think so. It gives us the balance. It gives us the balance. It means then again, it picks up where Casemiro can't. Do you know what I'm saying? Both of them are both good ball carrying midfielders. They both can play in the first phase. Cass can't. Cass is missing that profile of player. Eriksen's supposed to be that profile, but Eriksen doesn't have the legs. You know? So if we get a player,
problem with Eriksen's my starting number.
That's it. But this is the problem because he doesn't have the legs. He's got the technical ability, but he doesn't have the legs. So if you've got someone that's got the technical ability and the legs to play next to Casemiro, that takes that responsibility away from him, which means he can just do what he's good at. And that's all it is. Right now, he's having to do 2 jobs. One of them he does extremely well. One of them he's not very good at. And the problem is what you're getting out of Bruno and Mason Mount, is not enough to make up for the gaps that they're leaving in midfield. If these guys were mad goal threats and they were going to get loads of GA, fair enough. Apart from Bruno's first season, he's flattered to deceive when it comes to statistics. He's not scoring a lot of goals. Now the penalties are gone. He's not scoring anymore. In open play, I don't know how many goals Bruno has in open play in the last 18 months, but it can't be many. It can't be many.
He strides out more on that point of view, innit? He's more of the... He works hard for the team. Like, I think people have now started applying that narrative onto Bruno, which I think it's interesting when that narrative starts to get pushed onto a player. I do. I think.
That shows you that they're not performing.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. It's like he ran today. And because you never saw them do anything directly wrong, you now think they play fine in a way, you know what I mean? Like, oh, no, it wasn't Bruno's fault. But if anything, you could just suggest maybe he was hiding in the game or, you know, the things that he did try, or at least Bruno's trying. But is he trying or is he just a bit of a shit passer? You know what I'm saying? Like, it could be one or the other. It is my issue. I suppose there's improvements. I still question a lot of things about that Man United team. I'm thinking about best case. Would you rather Gravenberch or Amrabat? Sorry, because I'm trying to just adhere to what you're saying.
I want both of them, bro. I'll be honest. I want both. All right,
well, we're not getting fucking greedy. Choose fucking one.
I think we can get both of them still. If I had to choose one, do you know what I mean? It's a difficult one because Amrabat brings the physicality, but Gravenberch brings the silky kind of footwork and a bit more creativity. Do you know what I mean? So it's like they both suit the team, but they give the team different things, isn't it? So...
See, I think there's problems with both. Not that they bring you more problems. That's not what I'm saying. But I still think there's problems with both to where I think there's a degree where it limits improvement, to be honest, especially when you see other teams improving as well. The balance of that. Let's say it's Amrabat. So we've got Casemiro, Amrabat, and Bruno, right? Because I doubt Bruno's getting dropped before Mason Mount does. So if that's the midfield 3, I'm now looking at a midfield 3, which is playing behind Rashford, Højlund, and Antony or Sancho. Am I correct in predicting that front 3?
Mm-hmm.
Now let's analyse fullbacks. Aaron Wan-Bissaka is Aaron Wan-Bissaka numero uno again?
It seems so, unless Dallow's injured, and I don't know if he is.
Okay, so a non-offensive right back, and then now let's look at left back. Is it still Luke Shaw?
It is indeed.
So, you see where my problem is.
Bro, we got a problem in the same place. It's my problem as well. It's horrible. It's horrible. It's horrible. Like, bro, I'll be honest. Like, these guys know Like, this manager sold me a complete dream. Complete dream. Like, I said it, like, bro, Dutch manager, I'm thinking I'm gonna get possession football. I'm gonna get structure, because Dutch managers are very, very rigid, usually. Very structured. Now, I am not seeing structure. I'm not seeing possession. I'm not seeing anything Dutch about what we're doing. I'm seeing nothing, bro. You know what I mean? And this is,
about what we're doing.
I'm not seeing nothing, bro. I'll be honest. Like, the manager's saving grace here is that we won a trophy last season. If we didn't win a trophy this last season and he was showing me what he's showing me now, bro, oh my lord.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. The trophy is the only thing that's stopping me from completely turning on him already. Like, it's the only thing. It's the only thing, bro. If we didn't have that trophy, I'd be gone already. Because I've seen enough to be gone, bro. And everyone knows I make these decisions very quickly. Like, I don't wait, bro. Like, a lot of people like to wait and sit on the fence. No, listen, I am Mason Mount starting the next 5 games away from not wanting this manager at my football club anymore. That's how close I am. That's how close I am. If he doesn't drop Mason Mount in the next 5 games, yeah, he'll lose me, bro. He will lose me, because I can't sit here and watch this. And this is Wolves. This is one of the favorites for relegation that we struggled against.
Yeah.
Like, come on, bro. There's not many teams in the league worse than them that we can play. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's actually crazy. Like, what can we do, bro? You know what I mean? Like, this is what it is. What can we actually do, bro? I'm not gonna sit here and wait till Christmas and say, oh, like, we'll wait. No, bruv. Based on what he's doing right now, shit ain't gonna improve by itself, bro. That's not how life works. Things don't just get better.
Yeah, like it's like if you just leave mold at the top of your corner in your room, it's like it's.
And one day you'll come back and it's gonna be gone. No, the ceiling will collapse before that happens. You know what I'm saying? And like, this is just what it is. What the manager's doing right now makes 0 sense, bruv. And if it makes sense, by all means, someone in the chat, let me understand why bringing in a ball playing goalkeeper but then having Wan-Bissaka at right back makes sense. Tell me. How does it make sense?
You're doing really good at the moment with your young players as well. Like, you're promoting the young players really well. And by you, I mean PR, like the PR team at Man United. I think they're doing a great job. Because now I think people are looking at Garnacho as like a huge asset, in a sense that, okay, because if we sold him, he'd be 70, 80 million pounds. He'd now be good enough for the team. You get what I mean? So, like, and then I think that's flawed. And then you've got that Mainu. Is his name Mainu?
He's good, though.
No, I agree.
He's actually good. Garnacho's horrible. Oh my days! Like,
I agree. Mainu's horrible. But I think Bajcetic has got quality, but I don't want him starting yet. You get what I'm saying?
Like, I don't want Kobe Mainu starting either. I don't. Like,
so this promotion of, at least we've got Kobe and at least we've got Garnacho. That's where it now limits getting options for the right here right now.
He started Garnacho, bruv, in the first Premier League game of the season. Horrendous idea. It was the worst performance I've seen in a Manchester United shirt, and I've seen some bad ones over the years. That was the worst performance I've seen, and it wasn't against a top team. Sometimes you put players in against top teams, you say, you know what, they're out of their depth. We played against relegation favorites, bruv. They're up there, and he was out of his depth. He couldn't even find a Manchester United shirt. He couldn't, you know, and this is the same player that a lot of Man United fans were saying, oh, yeah, he's the future. Give him the number 7 shirt. Oh, my Lord, bro. This is crazy. This is crazy. Yeah, bruv, he's so bad, bro.
Like, he was fuming, or his brother was fuming when Mason Mount was number 7.
His brother's always fuming. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand what it is, bro. It's very strange.
Did you see Mason Mount's brother coming out and having a go at TalkSport?
Ridiculous.
I didn't understand that. And I'm not even a fan of TalkSport, but I didn't see the correlation of hate from what TalkSport said. I thought it was No,
but you know what it is. You know what it is. And this is life in general, yeah. When people here are so privileged in life, as soon as they're challenged, yeah, they feel like they're being oppressed, bro. Like, Mason Mount has gotten away with so many bad performances for Chelsea, yeah. And the reason why he hasn't been called out on it is because, one, they see him as, he's come through the ranks, so we give him the benefit of the doubt. And two, Chelsea
star boy as well, innit?
Exactly. And then Chelsea are not under the same level of scrutiny as Manchester United. because Chelsea have always had loads of different dramas, new owners, this, spend that. There's so many things that go on at Chelsea Football Club, and the fact that they're not in the spotlight like that, so he's gone under the radar. At Manchester United, bro, you cannot piss in the street on a night out without being papped, bro. Like, you can't do nothing at Man United and get away with it. So he's now been thrust into the spotlight, and everything he's doing has been scrutinized because, one, he didn't sign a new contract at Chelsea. There was a contract on the table. His agent touted him about. He's asked for X amount of money. He's got more money. The image rights, the number 7. Bro, he's put himself in a position to be scrutinized. He's taken the number 7 shirt at Manchester United. So because you've done that, you can't say, oh, you know what, I love being a footballer, I love being a celebrity, but I don't like the attention. It comes with it, mate, unfortunately. Do you know what I mean? So when you take the number 7...
It gets to his head too much, you know what I mean?
Bro, when you take the number 7 at Manchester United and you decide you want to play for the biggest club in England, yeah, you know what comes with that? Pressure and scrutiny. No one is above that. Do you know what I mean? No one is above that. So don't pretend that you're a victim, because if you were playing well, they would be kissing your ass, but you're not. So you're not a victim, bro.
So that's the problem, isn't it? They seek too much validation from other people, which actually them even when they say good things about you, the opinions don't actually matter, because, by the way, they're not experts, and they're also not the people that you need to be impressing. Of course, it's good to impress the fans, but the main aim should be to impress the manager, right? Because that's obviously the one who's going to keep playing your game in, game out, and in turn, that will impress the fans, you'd hope. Now, when I see players like Mason Mount, who can be easily affected mentally, or Rashford, who can be easily affected mentally, like even Harry Maguire was an example of this under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, I do then sit back and I think there's a huge problem culture-wise with this country. And it's not even because I understand this feminism, masculinity battle at the moment in the world, but that's not what I'm talking about. I'm just simply saying that, let's even analyse the old school pundits, you know, your Roy Keanes, your Graham Souness, all these, even though you might disagree with what they say, just analyze the mannerisms and the fucks they don't give, right? On a day-to-day basis, which is probably why they come out and say some slanderous stuff. But they lived in an era where they didn't give a fuck about other people's opinions because they didn't have to think about it. Now, of course, you're going to go to the game and, you know, people are having a go at you. But these people like Mount and Rashford and all that, they'll complain about the criticism, they'll take the praise, and they'll stay on social media where both come along. And by the way, both are pointless. So I think it's not just it's not just because they're rich, by the way. Like, this happens with, like, normal kids around.
Bro, they're fucking snowflakes, mate. And that's what it is. And this is what I liked about Jadon Sancho, because when Sancho was going through it, he just said, all right, fuck it, I'm leaving social media. Don't need this right now. Deactivated everything. Said, you know what, I'm just going to focus on myself, focus on playing football. When I feel better, I'm going to come back. Now he's back on Instagram. He's playing well. He's happy. But when he wasn't, he just fucked off. He wasn't there complaining, saying, oh, everyone's picking on me, because he knew he wasn't playing well. So he was like, you know what, I'm not playing well. I don't need this. I'm just going to deactivate, focus on my football, focus on whatever. Do you know what I mean? If Mason Mount don't like what TalkSport is saying about him,
but Sancho
log out of Twitter, log out, focus on your game. And if you're that sensitive, come back when you're playing well.
Yeah.
It's that simple, because people are not criticizing you because they don't like you, mate. They're criticizing you because we're paying you to do a job you're not doing.
I respect that about Sancho, you know. He doesn't come out and say bullshit, lad. You know what I mean?
Nothing,
like,
bro. He just deactivated all his accounts and fucked off.
Fair fucks, lad. Nah, I actually respect that, you know. No, I actually do. I respect that. Fair play. He's handled that more accurately than the others. That's actually sick.
That's what you got to do, bro. When you're not playing well,
everyone else is attention seeking, and then they'll find a way to make themselves, like, you know, like they can even. I remember, I think it was Harry Maguire, and one thing that really, because he did something that people weren't happy with, and then he came out and said, "I've been getting X hate, and people have been saying things about my family," but then that's a very subjective thing, isn't it? You know what I mean? It's like. Well, they might have said something about your family, and that's obviously not right if they did. And even if you include context, you shouldn't speak about people's families. But now the narrative is everybody has been saying shit about your family. So now poor Harry Maguire, and now we can no longer constructively criticize.
That's it. And it was probably just one guy or one or two guys. Do you know what I mean?
And possibly it was no one, because I doubt he's sitting there looking at just nothing but hate messaging.
It was a little like no face account, bro. Do you know what I mean? I don't get one disrespectful message and say, oh, everyone's attacking me on social media. They're not.
Exactly. It's like when you get one bad comment, or everybody was saying this.
Everyone hates me. No. Do you know what I mean? You can get 2,000 likes on a video. you read one comment and all of a sudden you're in the comment section fighting the one guy when you've got 2,000 likes on the video. Like, it makes no sense. And this is the problem with these guys. They're weak, innit? They're weak. And that's just all it comes in. And that's why I can see the disdain with a lot of these pundits, even though cool, like they need to come into the 21st century, kind of, but not really. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think their football opinions could do some brushing up on, but their opinions on how to deal with things in life are spot on. Do you know what I mean? Because they're from an era where no one gives a shit. Yeah, because they're from an era where no one's going to save you, blood. You have to save yourself. Do you know what I'm saying? This is what it is. You're not a victim, bro. Like, as a man, yeah, like these guys are from an era, and I grew up with two very masculine role models in my dad and my granddad, yeah. Being a victim, yeah, is frowned upon, bro. Do you know what I mean? Like, in modern society, it's like guys take pride in saying that they're being bullied, bro. Like, this is crazy. Do you know what I mean? If I used to come home and tell my dad, yeah, which never happened, by the way, that someone was picking on me, he said, bro, don't come back until you've done something about it. Do you know what I mean? Like, why are you coming and telling me? What are you telling me? I'd rather you come home beaten up because you stood up for yourself, and then I'll go down and deal with it. But you better go and stand up for yourself. You know what I mean? It's not our dad, someone's picking on me. Well, what is this, bro? Like, being a victim was never praised when I was raised. And now all of a sudden everyone's like, oh, I'm a victim. Cyberbullying.
Everyone is as well, by the way. Like, everybody is. This is a huge problem. Because everybody is, like, literally you can think of any spectrum, you know, opinions, politics, all these things, and even beyond this, like, even everyone, you know, you could go so down the deep rabbit hole of like a worldwide nation of degenerates who are all just, they don't have a clue what to align with, you know what I mean? So yeah, I think it's an example of what we're seeing now, all these footballers getting their heads mashed up, because they are just rich examples of how everybody else is in society at the moment, and why I think everyone's so divisive. Because no one knows what the fuck to believe or what the source is no more, you know what I mean?
And that's exactly what it is. So, like, a lot of these guys need to sort themselves out. You shouldn't have your siblings fighting over media, because if Mason Mount scored a hat-trick, and TalkSport would have been talking about how well he's playing, because they don't have a vendetta against Mason Mount, bruv. No one does. He's English. Do you know what I mean? He's come through the system. These players are not getting picked on, bruv. Like, they're not victims here. Like, these are guys that the media genuinely want to do well. You're just not doing well.
Yeah.
So you have to take the abuse, like you're going to take the adulation when no doubt it comes, because one game this season, Mason Mount will score a brace. It's inevitable. He'll play enough games that he'll score 2 goals in a game, or he might get 2 assists, or he'll do something good, and he'll be on the front of a newspaper, because nobody hates you here, bruv.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm saying? No one hates you here. You're not the victim here. You're just playing shit, and you're being held accountable. That's it.
I think people can get too many of those, like, good endorphins too, if that makes sense. So, like, when you used to win a game for your team back in the day, you go home and now you chill with your family. You know, you've been out to the pub with your mates and you've been given the celebrations and the flowers from the fans and whatever have you.
Yeah.
Now we're in a position where, well, you're now getting celebrated in the game. You've got 20 post-match interviews which you're going through and then doing nothing but praise you. And then you've got a bunch of fans online which you're looking through now praising you. And then you get to the next day and you think, like, I'm the guy. I'm actually the guy. I've just been praised for 24 hours straight. Like, I am a fucking
It does get to their head. And that's where Harry Maguire is. Harry Maguire genuinely, in his hearts of hearts, thinks that he's being hard done by all the criticism, even though he's a god-awful footballer. But he genuinely, in his heart, believes that he's a victim of a witch hunt, bro. When he was actually gassed up so much that he went for 85 million. Bro, if you're such a victim, then why did people think you're worth 85 million pounds? There was one point where people thought you're one of the best centre-backs in the Premier League, or else you wouldn't have gone for that much money.
Yeah.
So how is he a victim now?
Yeah, because even City were linked with him, weren't they?
Yep. There you go. They were saying he was England's best centre-back when we signed him. And now look at him. So what, he's a victim now because he hasn't lived up to the price tag? He's not a victim, bro. He's not a victim. and that's exactly what it is. These guys, it's pathetic. I'll be honest.
And
So
now if game time's his problem, which is what he mentioned, he had the opportunity to go and get game time elsewhere, but
and
he
he wanted Man
opted not
United
to.
to pay the difference in his salary. So clearly,
Yeah,
playing football is not that important to him.
yeah.
It's not that important to
Wait
him,
till Saudi start ringing. Know what I mean?
bro. This is what
Letty
I'm
flack.
saying. That's it. He's there, bro. Listen, football's not that important to him. You know what I mean? So the game is the game, innit? Like these guys always tell on themselves anyway. Harry Maguire's talking about game time, game time. He's been offered game time somewhere else. All of a sudden, he doesn't want to leave. He wants to fight for his place, knowing full well the manager doesn't want him there because he doesn't want to take a pay cut. So watch what these footballers do. Don't listen to what they say. That's the best advice
Yeah.
that I can give people. Like, watch what they do. Don't listen to what they say because these guys are clowns. And it's just that. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, you lot smash up the likes. Smash up the likes, man. We got over 1,200 in here. We're redirecting to James Redmond TV as well after the stream. Make sure you smash the like. Do you know what I mean? Obviously, you got a show coming straight up. We're gonna send everyone over from here. So yeah, let them know the agenda, bro.
My guy. We are going to be talking about the Endo agenda, and then we're going to touch on a few other links as well. But it's mainly just an interactive chat where people are like crying because of the Endo news right now. And then I'm just like teddering everybody because, listen, we've been expecting this. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting to say the least. So, defo tune in, smash a like on your way in, and I'll see you there in a sec.
Love that, chat. People. Do you know what I mean? So, yo, big up the chat. You already know what it is, man. Make sure you subscribe to James Redmond TV if you haven't already. And yeah, man, we're heading over there now, people. Big up.
Jeez.